fun and creativity, innovation, and imagination. It's what we're about. And we've got a great team of writers, editors, animators. And so we've done a lot, but we've got a lot of work left to do to continue to connect and inspire and engage with kids throughout the globe. That's our goal.
Welcome to Creative Ops, a podcast for creative people.
Hello and welcome to another Creative Ops, a podcast for creative people. I'm your host, Christopher Talon, author of the novel Switchers, about teens from the 90s who get in a time travel war against their adult selves. Check it out in the show notes. This week on Creative Ops, my guest is Michael Hyacinthe. Michael Hyacinthe is originally from the Bronx, New York, and then by way of the United States Navy, in a long roundabout way, ended up in Grand Rapids, Michigan, where he can be found between Hyacinthe Coffee Shop, which he co-founded, and at the Wimee Store and Studio in downtown Grand Rapids, where he started the Wimage, which was an app that uses this character Wimee to empower kids to be, as he says in this podcast, producers, not consumers. Really cool stuff. We talk about entrepreneurship, we talk about Wimee, we talk a little bit about his military background, and this is a fun one. If you want to know more about Hyacinthe Coffee Shop, I would direct you to last week's episode with his co-founder, Tyler D. Way. So because we had talked so much about the coffee shop, we didn't deep dive in it here. Great episode. A lot of cool things to say about creativity and entrepreneurship. So here it is. Michael Hyacinthe. Welcome to the show, man.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
We met through the coffee shop, and I was like, hey, Navy veteran over here too. I was, from that day on, I was like, I'm getting this guy on the podcast, even if I got to come track him down in his office.
Awesome. Go Navy. Always make time for a fella sailor, although I was a Seabee.
Yeah. Well, I'm right in there with you, man. When I was in Iraq, it was pretty much the Seabees, us, and then a few special ops guys. So, everybody was always, when we went to the chow hall, they're like, hey, where's the boat?
I know. They think bees are ship, travelers, and we travel, on planes mostly.
Yeah. How many, what have you been on mostly? C-130s? You do the C-5s at all?
Been on a few C-5s.
It's a bit unnerving when you go backwards and you can't see out the windows.
Yeah. But the C-130s mostly.
Yeah. Those are nice. They kind of put you to sleep. They got that nice little vibration.
Yeah.
If you can put out the nets and actually lay down. Otherwise, you're just sitting shoulder to shoulder with people sideways.
Yeah.
Also not a fun way to land.
Yeah. And some of our deployments, we traveled commercial. So
that's the way to do it.
Yeah, we an entire aircraft, commercial aircraft with nothing but NMCB 40 guys.
Yeah.
So
on the way back, the way back from Iraq, we stopped in Spain, and then from Spain back, I can't remember what was going on with the Air Force guys, but they just couldn't get a plane up, so they ended up saying, "All right, we're flying Air Canada."
Yeah, were you guys Rhoda?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
We stopped in Rhoda as well.
Yeah, it's a nice place. The town and the base.
Yeah.
Actually, the base was really nice. The lodgings there were great.
Yeah.
As far as Navy goes, the Air Force guys are probably like, psh.
I know.
I remember the Air Force guys when they were coming to NAS Pensacola to get training with us. They got substandard living condition housing extra allowance because they had to stay in a place that didn't have ceiling fans.
Are you serious?
That's what they told us. I don't know. They might have just been messing with us.
That's got to be a joke. Although the Air Force barracks that I've had a chance to visit are pretty luxurious. They're
Yeah.
like 4 or 5-star hotels.
Yeah. Yeah. People say that's the life.
That is the life. But yeah, really enjoyed my Navy time and go Seabees.
Yeah. So how long were you in? You said 8 years?
I did 8 years. Yeah.
You're
8
pretty
years.
close to the halfway mark. What made you say, I don't know if this is for me?
I've always been an entrepreneur. And so, wanted to go out and try different things in the world of business. And so,
And that you did.
yeah. But I think it's my military career or history that's allowed me to remain a very focused, disciplined, positive outlook, because this journey as an entrepreneur is not easy.
Yeah. Yeah. I just heard the last little bit of your call, man. And you're always talking to somebody, letting somebody know, telling somebody, hey, will you come support us here? Letting them know, hey, can you come support us here? Can we work together on this? It's just seems like it's a never ending grind.
It's a constant grind. As soon as we're done, I've got to catch a flight to LA. So, but if you believe in what you're doing, you have fun, and you've got a great team, it's all worth it.
Yeah. That's been a recurring theme on the podcast too, is when you find something that you love to do, don't be afraid to just jump all the way into it.
Yeah. And other people will see it, and if they like it, they'll want to jump in as well.
It's amazing. And I don't know if you had the same experience when I started the podcast and when I started writing books. I had a few people that were close to me before all that. They were like, oh, I don't know, man, it's kind of a weird lane jump from being a teacher to doing that. But when I meet strangers and I tell them what I do, they're like, oh, that's awesome. And how can I buy a book? Can I listen to the podcast? That's awesome. So it's weird to see how many people like really respect when somebody is going after their dreams.
100%. And it's because not everybody has that ability to pursue their own dreams.
Yeah.
Right. Some people are great supporters, and they recognize that that's a talent and a strength.
Yeah.
And so they want to be a part of something that they can support. And so that's really exciting that you can share your dream and idea with some people, and they'll want to help you fulfill that. So, and I think that's what's gotten us this far, is just the support that we've gotten from some of our collaborators. And so our partners see what we're building and recognize the difficulty, but they see the value and the impact.
Yeah. Yeah. What you said a second ago kind of reminds me of something that my New York father likes to say all the time. If you can't be an athlete, be an athletic supporter. Let's talk about the coffee shop first. You had said that the coffee shop kind of led into everything else.
Yeah. So the coffee shop, was an iteration of the original venture that Tyler and I started, also known as Has Heart. And so Has Heart is an initiative that connects veterans with creative designers. And so if you were to go inside the Has Heart coffee shop, you would see artwork throughout the entire shop. And that artwork was created through the collaboration between a veteran who was wounded or disabled, paired with an actual graphic designer.
Yeah.
So the purpose of that was to allow a veteran to see their thoughts become something visual and tangible. And so that artwork was created by the hands of the designer, and then we would take that artwork and we would put it on T-shirts, mugs, boots, and so forth. And so through that initiative, the collaboration always happens over a cup of coffee. And so that's why we decided to open up the coffee shop. And now people can come in, have a cup of coffee, and see the amazing artwork that the collaborators have created. But utilizing veterans and artists to create, we wanted to develop another opportunity for a veteran to create independently without a designer. And so we created this technology called Wimage, Wimage is an app that converts words to images. So essentially, we said, what if a veteran could create without actually having a designer at their homes? And the only way that could happen is through the use of technology. So we launched this app. And when we launched it, we tested it with both kids and the veteran population. And overwhelmingly, we saw the impact that allowing a child to see their thoughts or words become images had. So we pivoted, instead of using the tool, the app for veterans, we said, let's inspire kids to become visual storytellers. And the reason is, through some experimentation, we saw that had a immediate impact. And so, that's how Wimage, the company, was born, as a creative tool to allow, at that time, veterans, but now kids, to see their thoughts become images. And I think we were one of the first to truly see the impact of words to images before Chat GPT and those other AI generative platforms.
Were you big on the technology side of it? Is that kind of part of your background, is the technology side? Or did you just know you had the idea and you found the right people to help kind of make it come true, a little both?
You know what? I believe my New York background, gives me the ability to see innovation. And then my military background allows me the recognition to empower and connect people.
Yeah.
So I'm not a technical founder. I am an entrepreneur. And so my role is to come up with the vision, the ideas, and to see if I can, inspire, empower, hire people to come and help me fulfill this dream. And that's how Wimage, initially was born. And when we were launching the original tech, I just put an ad out on LinkedIn saying, I'm this veteran, I created this nonprofit, and I'd love to get some help with some developers that would allow a person's words to become images. And then, my first co-founder, Nick Jansma, replied, and he and I, worked together to build the very first Wimage application. So as an entrepreneur, you're really focused on resources, networking, and collaboration.
So what did the original app that you had, what was the kind of the center and the focus of it before Wimee came around? Or was Wimee kind of in there right with that beginning app?
Yeah, so we launched it, and to make the app a more kid-friendly app, because we knew that the children's route was where we wanted to go. And so I reached out to a good friend of mine who we met at church. He was a local children's puppeteer. And so told him, look, I got this app. It converts words to images. And at first we wanted it to be a veteran's tool, but now we feel as if kids could really utilize this. And so I'd like your help to help me create a face of the app. And essentially, he and I collaborated to create Wimee, who we now know as Wimee the Robot on PBS. Wimee creates books. And so it was just understanding the direction we wanted to go and how to truly put a face towards the invention.
So Wimee, the character, was directly conceived with the app. I guess I should say the idea for the app came, and then Wimee was kind of brainstormed out of that, rather than you had this idea for a character already and then built something around that.
Correct. It was the app, and how do we make the app a kid-friendly app, give it an identity.
Yeah.
We built We created Wimee the robot.
Once you had the app and you had this idea for Wimee, how long did it take to kind of build a team to put Wimee together? I mean, I know you had to find somebody to make Wimee.
Yeah, and so the voice and make was something Kevin and I worked on. But Kevin is currently the voice and the personality. And keep in mind, Kevin has always been a puppeteer doing amazing work with kids way before I met him. But
yeah, he's electric once he puts that thing on his hand.
It's magic.
I couldn't even look at him. It felt weird. I was like, I have to keep eye contact with Wimee while he's talking to me.
It's magic.
Yeah,
it's not.
I told people, I was like, I didn't even think to look at Kevin. I was just talking to a puppet, and I was 7 years old.
It's really magical.
Yeah.
And even though Kevin is right there, you almost forget that he is there, and it's just Wimee speaking.
Yeah.
And so, how dare you not look at somebody when they're talking to you, and that's Wimee.
Yeah, and that's exactly how it feels too. Like, don't pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
Yeah, it's really magical, and you don't even notice it. And when we're doing some street shows, grown adults, you can just see they're mesmerized, and their eyes are strictly on Wimee.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, cool. I'm glad that I'm not the only.
No, you're not. So yeah, Kevin and I, in addition to getting some other individuals who are truly puppet makers, helped us create this.
Yeah, because here in the studio, which is where we are, if I hadn't already said so.
Yeah.
I got a little tour from Kevin, and he showed me Wimee the original, Wimee 1.0, and Wimee 2.0.
And now the current Wimee that we use on PBS.
Yeah.
Wimee 3.0, the one that you were probably
the one that I talked to.
Yeah. Yeah. So yes, different variations. And even then, now, Wimee is expanding. And so we've got Wimee the puppet. We've got Wimee now in animation. So
you got the full-size Wimee mascot for the live events.
Wimee mascot. And so, yeah, we're really excited that this character that we've created has the ability to impact people in various connections.
Yeah. What was it like moving from, okay, we've got this app, we've got this idea, to actually reaching out and trying to get this thing on TV? Because, I don't know, did any of you guys have like a foot in the door with the PBS, the WGVU people already?
Years ago, Kevin had initiated some conversations with PBS, but that never processed into anything. But he maintained some good relationships and some good friendships. And I think entrepreneurship sometimes it's really about timing.
Yeah.
And, some luck, but timing is extremely important as well. And I think it was the right time that we presented the right character, Wimee. And a lot of the work is just a lot of cold calling. I did a lot of cold calling when we were first launching the character, just trying to get a sense of who would give us some time.
And that's got to be weird, right? Like, I mean, you've got the right personality for it. You're outgoing, and then you've got that military, like, just put your head down, get the job done. But calling people and say, hey, can I tell you about this? No. Hey, can I tell you about this? No. Hey, can I tell you about this? Did you ever feel beaten down by the process, or was it always like, we're just going to keep going until we find it?
You know what? There are times when, you are tired.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot of work. But if you truly believe in what you're doing, I don't think I've ever been beaten down to the point where I'd want to give up.
For sure.
No.
Maybe need to recharge your batteries on a long weekend, but
as a startup entrepreneur, your weekends are,
you take them in moments.
Yeah. You're working as well. I remember I took my kids to Hawaii, and this is when we were, trying to find an agent for our book, Wimee Creates.
I know a little bit about looking for agents. That's also a tiring process.
Oh, probably one of the most difficult things that I've ever had to overcome.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and you're waiting sometimes 6 to 8 weeks for an answer. Sometimes you don't even get one.
Yeah. And so we were in Hawaii, we're 6 hours behind from, the East Coast. And so I would wake up at 2 a.m. to call agents at 8 a.m, hoping that I'd be the first person that they reach out to.
Yeah.
Or that they pick up, while still trying to plan a day for my kids. And so it's a balancing act when you're a startup entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, very fortunate we were able to get a publisher, an agent that then found us a publisher. And now, we have Wimee Books.
Well, if you don't mind me asking, how long was landing an agent for the books to actually landing a publisher for the books? Because I've talked to writers who had an agent represent them on a book for 2 years and didn't work out.
Yeah. About 6 to 8 months.
Okay.
But that was just constantly reaching out to people.
Yeah.
And
yeah, nobody's going to do it for you.
No. And then, meeting some really cool people who introduced us to some other people. But a lot of introductions, a lot of networking is what I believe, got us the book deal. And so now we've got Wimee Books through Zonder Kids, which is an imprint of HarperCollins. And now we have 2 books out. Would love to make sure that those who are listening go and get them. They're amazing books.
Yep. There'll be links in the show notes if you're like, I want those books.
Yeah. Written by Kevin's wife, Stephanie Kamerad.
Who's also a lovely, lovely person. An
educator. And she is the author of our Wimee Books. So yeah, the books, PBS, and now we're launching games that utilizes generative AI that Wimee will be the personality in the face of. So lots of things happening, and I always tell people we are building the next Sesame Street / Disney, right here in Grand Rapids.
Listening to you talk about the beginning, it sounds like it was just all busy all the time. But watching you now, going from business to business, making phone calls, being on Zoom calls, what's busier? Trying to launch, or once you are, quote unquote successful? Different stuff, but same energy, same effort.
Yeah, it's same energy, same effort. Building the right team.
Yeah.
Fundraising.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot because the idea part is the excitement, right? The anticipation. So that's fun. Yeah. Now it's executing, which requires a lot of your time.
Yeah. Especially when you're doing stuff like this show. If I hadn't already said, you guys do it live from the studio, and via the app, people can chime in and offer suggestions for what picture Wimee's going to draw or what song Wimee's going to sing, stuff like that. That just seems like a whole other level of anxiety on top of just recording one and trying to make that good is hard enough, but doing it live. Were you guys always bent on doing it live, or?
You know what? From the very beginning, during COVID, we wanted to create a show that we felt was empowering kids to be producers rather than just consumers.
Yeah.
And so from the very, very beginning of our company, it's always been about interaction, right? Whether it's turning a word into an image, that's a means of interaction. You're interacting with the technology, and where you're submitting an idea, and then the technology is interacting with you by turning that into an image that you think is relevant to what you're saying. And so that's that. But how do we set ourselves apart in a world where everybody's on YouTube, everybody's trying to get a show?
Yeah.
And we felt as if parents would be receptive to this character if, in fact, it was inspiring their kids to be co-producers of the show. And so from the very beginning, we wanted to, live is now, producing something on live television, and in real time, kids are connecting with us. But the interaction part is what has really led to the live component of our PBS show, Wimee's Words Live.
Just seeing you guys do, well, they had an event recently at a movie theater, and you guys did more or less a version of the television show live for a studio audience in the in the movie theater. So you were doing part of the live show in the studio. You were kind of ringleader of that whole thing, and then you had the rest of the team in the studio communicating with you from there, and then also interacting with the live audience. How long did that all take to properly plan out? Because it went off great.
Yeah. It took some time, and I think the credit goes to the team, the Wimee team, by, making sure that the technology worked, and a couple conversations with, the theater, conversations with our technology partners, Yeti, CGI, and then, Gwen, Kevin, Stephanie, Jim, making sure the writing the content is right.
Mm-hmm.
So it did take some time, but we've had practice.
Yeah.
So
that wasn't too far of a stretch from what you guys normally do.
Correct.
Okay.
Creating a live show is what we do.
Yeah.
The only difference is, instead of going on live television on PBS, we were just streaming live to a movie theater, which was really cool because kids were able to enjoy a really fun event, and they helped to produce the show, and they could see their names, or their identification on the screen.
Yeah, I heard the kids around me, Mom, that one's mine. That one's mine.
That was mine. That was mine. I said that to Wimee, and then Wimee would respond and use that kid's idea on the show in real time.
Yeah.
So inspiring kids to know that their ideas do matter in real time.
Mm. Yeah, that's huge. And something that you had just said too is you wanted to make children, prepare them to be producers, not consumers. And I had just seen something on Instagram. I get all my news from Instagram now. I'm terrible. But I had seen a reel that somebody was speaking, saying that education is failing children today because it's only preparing them to be consumers. It's not, there's not as much critical thinking. It's a lot of just, puke back at me what I just told you.
Yeah.
So I think what you're doing and why you're doing it is, you're hitting the nail on the head right where it. I'm trying. Oh gosh, too many metaphors.
That's perfectly fine.
But yeah, no, you're addressing a very clear need. For people out there, for children.
Thanks. Especially, to truly prepare kids for jobs of the future, I truly believe you need to prepare them to understand how to use technology. With automation and artificial intelligence is going to play a key role in the jobs that our kids work. And so to make sure that they are equipped and qualified, we need to put these tools into their hands and let them know how they can actually produce with them.
Yeah. When I was telling my father, who, bless him, he's, 70, what is he, 74?
Where does he live?
He lives just outside of Lansing now, but he's originally from Brooklyn.
Nice.
Flatbush.
Flatbush.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I was telling him about the show, and he was like, "Oh, that's cool." So they teach kids how to spell and how to count. I was like, I mean, it's a little more than that. They were talking to kids about how Bitcoin works. He's like, "What?" Yeah, man, it's it's a show for, right now where we are.
Yeah, it's building content for the digital age learner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And getting into stuff besides just let's do our ABCs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, there's segments where we're teaching kids ABCs, but there's also segments where we're teaching kids about financial literacy through Wimee. And so what's really awesome is this generative AI app that we're building called Wimee's World, where kids can, within this entire platform, kids will be able to watch Wimee's shows, will be able to learn from the content that we've created. Kids will be able to, to live healthy lifestyles, and support kids with, different mental issues, whether it's ADHD or kids who are experiencing different learning abilities. So we are building this really compact, universal world for kids through Wimee as their digital companion.
Yeah, which is awesome, man. I really dig the stuff that you guys are doing, and I'm not just blowing smoke here because you're sitting right in front of me. I bought the pin. I tell people about it a lot, and I think it's really important work that you're doing, and you're making it fun too. So
yeah, all about fun and creativity, innovation, and imagination.
Yeah,
it's what we're about, and we've got a great team of writers, editors, animators, and so we've done a lot, but we've got a lot of work left to do to continue to connect and inspire and engage with kids throughout the globe. That's our goal.
Well, we're almost done here because I know you got to get out of here soon. But just to kind of zoom in on you a little bit, you're originally from New York. Then you joined the military. What was it that got you to want to join the military, and then what was it that made you want to settle down here in GR?
I love playing basketball. And so growing up in the Bronx, I played a lot of basketball, and basketball took me around the country. And so when I knew I wasn't, as much as I love basketball, I'm an okay player, not good enough to get a collegiate athletic scholarship. But I always loved to travel. And so one of the things that I wanted to do was travel around the world. And so joined the Navy, the world's finest Navy, and became a Seabee.
Did you already have some of the skills that you needed? Because for people that don't know, Seabees are the construction arm of the Navy. They can build everything, roads, structures. I mean, there's you could tell more about that, but did you already have kind of a builder's instinct or any of the knowledge that went with it, or did you learn all of it when you got there?
I think that's me as an entrepreneur. I think I was a born entrepreneur. And the Navy through the Seabees gave me this physical way to build, because entrepreneurs build. And Seabees, we build. And so that's one way I think I took this entrepreneurial spirit and built things throughout my military service. But, building, no, I learned it all completely in the Navy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm grateful, and I dedicate anything that I've accomplished to my service.
Yeah. Yeah. I was the same way with, I didn't know anything about the job that I ended up doing. I was more or less brakes and body for helicopters. But people are like, oh, did you like to turn wrenches before that? No, not especially. I was just looking to travel, get some money for school, make some money while a lot of my friends were going in debt, with college.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, no. And then, once I got out the military, came out here and and decided to stay out here. And
Did you just visit Grand Rapids? Did you know some people? What was the pull?
It was a connection.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a connection that was made and came out here. And yeah, it's a beautiful city. 3 of my 4 kids are born here. And so, yeah, I'll always be a New Yorker, right? The Bronx is where I call home, but
anybody who talks to you can hear that. Yeah.
But I truly enjoy the opportunities that I'm getting in Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Yeah. Yeah, it must, coming from one of the biggest cities in the world, must feel like, oh, well, this isn't too big. I can handle this, right? Like, I would think it would be like going from a big town to a small town. You just kind of go, oh, all right. Everything is just maybe a little bit smaller, a little bit slower here. I can take this town over, no problem.
It's one would assume that, but there's some challenges, being in a smaller city, not having many family out here.
Oh, sure. Especially with all the kids.
Yeah. And so there's and Grand Rapids is a very, very close knit community where everybody knows everybody. And so it's generational wealth here. Right? It just, it's a cycle.
Mm-hmm.
And so here you are from New York, trying to make the best of it and trying to introduce myself to some of the systems that are already cemented. Has some challenges, but we've been able to make some really good friends, and there are people who want to see difference and diversity in thought, color.
Yeah.
Play a role in Grand Rapids. And so I'm happy to be here now.
And we're happy to have you. I'm actually not from originally from here either. So
where are you from originally?
The Lansing area.
Okay.
Yeah. 517.
Cool. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. It was all right. I'm not there anymore. So
still have family back there?
Yep. My parents live there. But besides that, not really a lot anymore, because my father's family went from New York to Lansing because I think at the time maybe a GM plant had just opened there. So they're hiring. Get a great job with a pension. Just walk on in. But then the family kind of kept moving. My dad stayed here, but the rest of them spread out West Virginia, California. I think there's still a few back in New York, a couple in Colorado, a couple in Texas now.
Oh, wow.
So they just, they
all over.
Never lost that itch to
move,
just keep going and seeing what's next in the next place.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. So it's it's a great city, and I encourage everyone to come down and come visit Grand Rapids. Stop by the Wimee studio.
I was gonna say, come down to Ottawa Avenue.
Yeah, 125 Ottawa. And before or after, go to the Has Heart coffee shop to get some coffee.
Yep. Open daily till 2 p.m., right?
2 p.m. We're actually getting ready to increase hours during the spring and summertime.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, so it'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you have kids, there's always a Wimee book inside there the kids could read through.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely get our book, Wimee Creates. Wimee learns about money. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Wimee the Robot, and help us continue to inspire the next generation of creators.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, we're gonna get you out of here right on time. Thanks for coming on the show and talking to me, man. I really appreciate it, and thank you for everything you do here too.
Appreciate you. Thank you for your service and being a voice.
All right, everybody. That was Michael Hyacinthe. Thank you, Michael, for coming on the show, opening up Has Heart, doing the Wimage app and Wimee the show, and and all the books that go along with it. You guys should check it out. If you're in Grand Rapids, go to 125 Ottawa Avenue. That's where the Wimee Store is. And you can also swing over to his other business, Has Heart, at 22 Sheldon Avenue in Grand Rapids. Lots of cool stuff going on. Thank you, Michael, for all the good stuff that you're putting out into the world and for sharing some insights with us here today. Again, everybody, check out those show notes, and we will see you next time. Mwah.